Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a little different than my others in that I'm going to be doing my first ever pattern roundup. This will be a Valentine's Day edition, so I'll be going over all the designs that I made for Valentine's Day, as well as some cute little extra projects that I did throughout the month that I will add at the end. I will go over where I got the inspiration from for each of the wall hangings, how I went about designing it, how I chose the colors, etc. Kind of how my little designer brain works when coming up with the designs. And I'm hoping that in sharing this will inspire others to create their own designs or maybe get a better perspective or a new perspective on pattern designing, and just to kind of show you that you can do it also. You know, you don't need to be super artistic or crafty to be able to come up with your own patterns. So I hope this inspires you in some way. All right, and so if that sounds good, and if that sounds something that you might be interested in watching, then please keep watching. Okay, so first up is the love letter wall hanging. This was actually the first wall hanging that I designed for the Valentine's Day season. I was really excited to design this one because I've had this one in mind for a little while. I really wanted something with a text bubble that kind of reminded me of text, like a mixture of text messaging and emails. And originally this pattern was going to be named the deleted text message, or the text message I shouldn't have sent while hanging, because for some reason in my mind it kind of made me think of, you know, text messages that you wish you didn't send or you sent to the wrong person, like maybe saying I love you a little too soon, or maybe sending it to the wrong person. But that was kind of the premise behind it. I first wanted to start with the sizing. I knew I wanted to do a letter and a text bubble, so I started off with the letter first, kind of got that to where I wanted it to be kind of cohesively in the design. I really don't like negative space in my designs, but for this I felt like if I were to add anything else in between these two negative spaces, it would have just been too much. As far as the shapes go, I always start off with shapes. So the rectangle was obviously pretty easy. It's a pretty simple shape. So is the text bubble in essence, because all you have to do is round the edges. But what was really difficult for me was getting the lines in the letter. So what I did, and I actually discovered this while I was doing, and I cannot remember the name of the pattern. I can't remember the name of half my patterns because my little pea brain just cannot remember. Or I have ADHD and I get sidetracked, which I'm doing right now. Let's get back into it. So what I've discovered is if you've watched my how to design a crochet wall hanging video, I will leave that in the description below. I do everything on graph paper first. I like to get a view of what the design is going to look like in a rough sketch kind of way. So what I did was I designed, or I blocked off the rectangle because I knew that's the shape that I wanted the letter to be. And then what I did was I took a ruler from each corner, or corner to corner, and kind of marked off the straight lines as something that obviously intersected in the middle. And what I did was I went and kind of traced the line through the boxes, because it's really hard obviously to draw a straight line when you're working with cubes when it comes to graph paper. So I just kind of roughly traced the line on the graph paper the best that I could. I really have a hard time explaining this. I probably should have grabbed my graph paper. Anyways, it was easier for me to follow in that way instead of trying to roughly sketch out a straight line, if that makes sense. That way I could go back and erase it and kind of redo it. But if I had some kind of visual guide of a straight line to kind of go off of, it made it 10 times easier to do. And then after that, it was just adding the heart in the center, which was really, really easy because when you've designed certain design aspects before, it's easy to go back and reference them. And I have a bunch of heart kind of rough drafts in my collection of graphs that I've made over the years. So these two weren't an issue at all. As far as the text bubble, really, really simple. It was just a rectangle, rounded off the edges, kind of played around with it a little bit. And the great thing about crocheting is, especially when you're following a chart or anything like that, you can always go back and kind of resketch it and redo it as you go. So if I didn't like the shape of one thing at one point, I could just go back and change it, which was really, really nice. The only difficult part was how big I wanted the text bubble to be. So I had to draw out the I love you first to see how big the bubble would be, because I didn't want it to be so big that it kind of offset the envelope, if that makes sense. I wanted it to be kind of similar in size if I could. So I went through and I did a couple of different fonts with the lettering, and I really like this one. I kind of wish I did the I a little bit different because the dot of the I kind of squishes a little bit, but it's fine. You can definitely still tell what it says. But yeah, that's pretty much what went on with it. It just kind of reminded me of passing notes in school, the good old days before text messaging. I don't know if I'm showing how old I am. I'm really not that old. I'm only 31. But it kind of made me think of the good old days, you know, when we used to pass notes in school and stick them in our lockers. So yeah, this is a little bit of a nostalgic one for me. So yeah, that's going to be it for that one. This one is available for free on my blog. I will go ahead and link that in the description box for you, just in case you would like to make one of your own. And I also have a printable PDF ad-free version in my Etsy shop that I will also link for you. And let's go ahead and get on to the next wall hanging. Okay, pattern number 2 is going to be the Geo Heart wall hanging. This is probably, and I hate to pick favorites, this is probably my favorite wall hanging that I designed for Valentine's Day this year. It is just so fun and funky and geometric. I love sharp lines or sharp, crisp lines in a design. It doesn't seem, even though it does seem busy because of all the colors, I just love the symmetry of it being like triangles back to back from one another. So within the craziness, there is some kind of symmetry. The only part that I hate about this is because it has a white background and you can see all my dog's hair. I've tried, and I've gotten so many requests to list these wall hangings in my Etsy shop for anyone to purchase the physical product, but the main reason why I don't is because of all the hair. I have no idea how to get the hair off of it. It's just stuck on there forever. I've tried to get on there with tape and it kind of pulls up all the yarn bits and it just looks kind of a mess. Anyways, back to the wall hanging. So I saw something similar, not totally similar, but one of my neighbors in my neighborhood had a garden flag that it wasn't necessarily a heart per se, but it was a Valentine's Day theme, and it was very geometric in the way that it looked. It's really hard to describe because they already took it down. I'm so upset. I see it almost every day when I walk my dog, and it's not even Valentine's Day yet, so I'm really not sure why they took it down, but we have been having some crappie here in Southeast Virginia. If you don't know where I am, that's where I am. So that's probably why they took it down. But yeah, this was actually surprisingly a simple wall hanging to design. Once I got the initial heart shape that I wanted it to be like a traditional heart shape. It was just about going in and doing the triangles, which was surprisingly really, really easy. I started at the tip of the heart, which is already a triangle shaped anyways. So I did that to, I think, about 13 or 15 stitches across at the bottom. And then I just kind of made it into an almost diamond shape and cut that in half to make the offset triangles. And then I followed that design for each one and kind of accommodating as the stitches or the rows got smaller and larger. Some have a little bit of an offset to it, but you can't really tell because it's in that initial heart shape, which is really nice. So this was oddly a very easy pattern to design. I was actually really surprised by it. It was, like I said, it was just a matter of designing the heart and drawing the triangles in it, which is so fun when something is a repetitive in that way when it comes to designing, because there's not a whole lot of thought that goes into it, if that makes sense. What really was difficult for me was picking the colors. I'm not particularly picky, but for some reason I had a really hard time picking the colors for this wall hanging. I'm really happy with it, and I love the kind of theme about it. It's hard to describe. It's almost, I don't know. I know nothing about colors or how to describe the tones in this. It seems really cohesive to me in a very chaotic way, if that makes sense. But before I move on to the next wall hanging, I did want to show you guys something. I am actually working. I had an idea after I made this wall hanging initially that instead of doing the triangles, I would do diamonds. So that is what I'm currently working on. And I must say, I'm a little bit mad at myself, and I really don't want to put myself in this position, but I kind of like the diamonds more, I think. Obviously, I have not finished it yet, so I can't tell for certain that I'm going to like this better, but it seems more, I don't know, sleek and put together and not as chaotic, obviously, because there's not a bunch of colors going on about the piece, but I don't know what it is. It seems so mature in a way, where this seems youthful. This is more mature and kind of my style in a way. I'm not super into the whimsicalness of colorful things. It's just not my vibe personally. I like more of like a sleek put together. So if you want to see this wall hanging finished, I will post it on my Instagram, which I will link down below for you when I'm finished. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's going to have kind of like a gradient from a darker to a lighter. And I'm super excited because this part right here, I'm hoping is going to look like a little heart at the top at the end. So I am super excited about that. But yeah, I think I might like this more than this one, which is not great. But I think if I do like it more and I do get a good response from it, I will add an edit to the existing pattern and add just like an additional chart for people to follow. So you'll have the original pattern and then the chart. And before I forget, this is available in my Etsy shop, and I will link it down in the description box for you. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the last wall hanging. Okay, so this is the final Valentine's Day wall hanging that I made this year. I think it is super cute, and it obviously gave me such a good idea to do. I don't know if you've seen it in either on my blog, Etsy shop, or my Instagram, but I've had this really big urge to make these what I call retro designs, kind of like the offset colors blocked. It's almost like a color block kind of retro theme. I've done a flower, pumpkins, a snowflake, I can't remember what else at the moment, but I knew I wanted to do something similar in that aspect for Valentine's Day, and this is it. She is super cute, super simple, and a great way to finish off the Valentine's Day season with just a nice simple pattern, you know, something I could make while I'm watching my favorite Netflix show. And it was super easy to design. It was a matter of getting the squares the size or the correct size to fit the hearts. So what I did was I drew the heart out first, and I measured that in relation to a square and just repeated that 3 more times after I got the initial sizing of it, which is really, really nice. It's just another one of those patterns where you do the hard work in the beginning and the rest just kind of follows through. So I'm always a get the hard part done first kind of person because I know at the end of this, I'm not going to want to do it anymore. My brain is going to be shot, you know, as far as like just mental fatigue at that point. And I just honestly am eager to get started on the project. So the quicker I can draw something up and the quicker I can start working on it, the better. So again, this is so easy to design. It was just the initial, I drew out the heart, closed, and it's just another heart design that I had stocked away in my just colossal mess of graphs that I have. And then I just took the time to cut out the inside. So I think I did 3 stitches up and kind of just followed the basic shape of the outside, making sure that there was equal amounts of this white part to follow the outside of the heart, so it wasn't like a mixed matched kind of shape. I didn't want it too thin, I didn't want it too thick, so I think I drew this maybe 2 or 3 times and was happy with the result. And this is another one of those patterns where if you're just not really feeling it, you can always take it out and start again. You can go back in your graph, or I like to type everything up on my computer as I go, so it's so easy to go back and just erase it and retype it out. It's kind of like a fail-safe for me, so if I make a mistake, I can always go back and change it right away. I don't have to make a note to go back and change it because I have ADHD and it's a problem. And I know if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So again, this is definitely such an easy pattern to design, and I'm super happy with the way it came out. I wish I had more time to do it in more colors, but Valentine's Day is literally, what, 2 days away from now? So this might even go up after Valentine's Day. I'm not even sure yet. But yeah, I'm super duper happy with this. It was a great, easy way to finish off the Valentine's Day season. But before we go, I did want to show you some 2 little extra projects that I did. And this is them. They are so cute. I don't know if you've seen, but I'm super into punch needling. I'm actually currently working on punch needle kits. But for the sense of content and kind of experimenting with different ways to make coasters, and maybe keep these designs in the vault for a kit next year, maybe like a punch needle kit for next year for Valentine's Day. I made these 2 little cute coasters. This one my mom chose. I gave her the option of choosing one or the other. She chose this one. It's just a cute little heart with a kind of a gradient from a dark purple to a nice peachy pink color. I love the colors in this one. I don't know if they remind me of a beach, kind of like a sunset. I think it's super cute, but this one is my favorite because it took the longest to make and the longest to kind of get right. I don't know if you can tell, but in the middle of the O's, it has a little heart in it, and this is the one I'm glad my mom didn't choose because I wanted it. So it is currently sitting on my nightstand, and yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the 2 little extra projects that I made for the Valentine's Day season. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm hoping this isn't super long-winded. I tried to get myself to shut up because if you followed one of my videos before, you know I'm a yapper. I will talk and talk and talk until I literally can't breathe anymore. So hopefully this video isn't too long and you guys enjoyed it. And I'm hoping to do another one in March after St. Patrick's Day, because it is probably one of my favorite holidays to design. I love 4-leaf clovers, I love greens, and there's a lot of room and design opportunities to play around with. So I'm really excited to see what I come up with. I have a few ideas already. So yeah, I hope they work out. But with that being said, I will go ahead and let you guys go. And and before I forget, see, I knew I was going to forget something. This wall hanging is available on my blog, and I will list the ad-free printable version in my Etsy shop in the description box below. I will also list all the patterns I talked about in this video, as well as my social media, so you're able to follow along, and you can follow along on that other Geo heart wall hanging that I'm working on and see how that turns out. Hopefully adorable. I think it will. Super excited. Is there anything else? I don't think so. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.